That truth that Misa just sang about has been around for a while, and I don't know about you, but I need to hear the message again and again. And it comes in many different forms. This is from the Buddha. You, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your own love and affection. And yet, as I mentioned at the beginning, we take our negative inventory. We can give you the list of all the things we've done wrong. We can give you the list of all the things we can't do. We can give you the list of all the things that we've failed at. But how many, if I asked you right now, could tell me that is your greatest quality? What is your greatest triumph? What is your shining light that has shifted the world by your just being here? Right? And this message keeps coming round and round and round for me because we are on this human journey. It's on this human journey where the society and Instagram and our friends love to tell us what we did wrong, right? Our family loves to tell us what we did wrong. But miracles happen, like we sang earlier, every day. We affirm there is a way. You know, I've shared a lot with you about my journey in forgiveness, my journey into self-acceptance, my journey into loving myself. And this week, I'm really glad to report and to testify there was a miracle that happened when my father called and apologized. Right? And I need to apologize too, but I had gotten to that point and I shared about it. It's like, my happiness is not dependent on anyone else's apology. And it isn't. And at the same time, to allow space for it allows the world to shift. And I want to repeat the words I heard from my father. It's like, Ken, I'm so sorry. When you were a child, I wasn't mature enough or man enough to love you the way you needed to be loved. Yeah, wow. Wow. So I want to let that settle in too, because it's not about me. It's about the lifting of human consciousness, right? That my father, who is a Trump-supporting, deep red state Republican, could see that, know that, and share that with me. I have to let go of my stereotypes. I have to love me and him at the same time. The real difficulty, Maya Angelou, is to overcome how you think about yourself. Right? Because those things get implanted in us very young, before we're conscious of making it our identity. And we fall into the trap of saying, well, this is just who I am. You know, I have this skill and that skill, and I won't fit into that circle. And we automatically limit ourselves. When the truth is, you really can do anything you set your mind to. You can do anything you set your mind to because you are a unique and divine expression. You are here on purpose to be that quality that no one else can be. And the journey into uncovering that, to exposing ourselves, and I use the word purposefully, to expose who we truly are, is a vulnerability, is a scary place to be. But when we do, when we let that person out and let it be seen, known, and shared with the world is richer for it, right? There is no limitation then, and there's no hiding or pretending. How many of you experience that? when you find someone being totally authentic with you, truly vulnerable and authentic, all you want to do, in my experience, is hug them or just be with them. But the pretending that we're all that or we've got it all figured out is really tiresome. It is, right? Because I don't know about you, but for my life, in my experience, I am always trying to figure out the next step. How to be right here and right now. Because I've never been here before. This is the first time. Brené Brown talks about it this way. Owning our story and loving ourselves through the process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Right? So I was that little kid who was beaten by my father, beaten at school by the nuns, and beaten on the way from school by the other kids because I like nail polish. Right? Because how I presented myself wasn't considered to be what was normal. Right? And today, I'm so happy to live in a world where we can celebrate the differences in each and every one of us. You know, I wish I had the courage of a Callie to have pink hair. Maybe that's next. I don't know, but I do know this, that when I witness the strength of others, when I watch people being brave, courageous, and pushing the boundaries, it has made it easier for me to do. I mean, I can name some of them right now. Quentin Crisp. Anyone remember who Quentin Crisp was? Yes. It was like, talk about purple hair, right? He had purple hair long before Callie did. And he lived a life so out and proud in England in early 1900s. In the 20th century, early England, he lived a life so out and proud, he changed everything. Harvey Fierstein, who I got to work with when I was working in show business. His play, Torch Song Trilogy, and how he lived his life so out and proud were just trailblazers for me as a gay man. For everyone else, who are the women that blazed the trail for you? Is Maya Angelou and Brené Brown some of them, right? Shirley Chisholm, right? All those women, Nancy Pelosi, speaking of this week, in San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi having the courage to be out and be who we are. All those examples of who we can be in the world when we stop worrying about what other people will think. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it this way: what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny compared to what lies within us. And Misa just sang it. In a Whitney Houston song, I forget who wrote it, but everything I need is inside of me. We don't have to walk in the shadows. So how do we apply this, right? How do we apply this in our lives in a practical way so that we can use this knowledge that we have all we need, that we are enough, that we are special enough to walk into the world and be different in it, so that the world is forever changed, that the world lifts itself up to our level because we're setting the example, lighting the torch. Each of you have a bulletin in front of you and a pen in front of you. And people online, I invite you, wherever you are right now, to get a back of an envelope, a blank sheet of paper, and a pen. And we're going to have a little pop quiz here, just for yourselves, right? There's pens in the seats in front of you, and if you need a bulletin, raise your hand, we'll get you one so you can write on the back of the bulletin. Anybody? Over here, great. So the first question is, I'd like you to, I forgot about this one. We'll come back to that. List your successes. I want you to list all of your successes in your life, right? Just a handful. Make a column down the left-hand side of your paper. Things you did that were an achievement for you, that made you feel proud of who you were, what you had done or accomplished. Big, small, in between, but the ones that pop right up to your mind. After you have a couple of your successes downwritten in the column, you can put successes or success right at the top so you remember what the column is when you want to continue this later. In the next column, I'd like you to list the spiritual gifts you used in order to achieve those successes. Right? And you may think, oh, I don't have any spiritual gifts. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Don't let that little voice rule you or ruin your day. Patience is a spiritual gift. Steadfastness, tenacity is a spiritual gift. Positivity, definitely, is a spiritual gift. Zeal, faith, love, strength, forgiveness. Humor is a spiritual gift. Kindness, wisdom, and intelligence. And yes, they are different. Wisdom and intelligence, but they are both gifts. Flexibility. Some of those you have used to be successful. Creativity, serenity, and many, many, many more. Many, many, many more. But just think back to those successes and notice what you used to make them happen. And while you're doing that, I'm going to talk to you about this. I don't know if many of you know of it, but Carl Rogers was a psychiatrist in the 1950s. And he created a way of therapy. It's called positive regard, unconditional positive regard. That the only thing the therapist does, the only thing, is hold the client in absolute positive regard. So for that, you have to express empathy, and then you have to be willing to share that empathy and be with the patient, with the counselee, in an unconditional positive way. And when this happens, it is amazing. It is a very, very powerful way of holding therapy. And they taught us this in ministerial school. It's like, it's not pretending, it's aligning. When someone comes before you and is telling you their story, to be with them in empathy, in compassion, in congruence, not jumping into the pit of ain't it so bad, but actually in, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it everything you've done amazing, miraculous, triumphant, phenomenal? We say it every week to our kids, right? You are the perfect expression of divine life. We see you and we love you exactly the way you are. That's unlimited positive regard. And if we could all operate like that, like Carl Rogers in the 50s taught, whew, you are amazing, doing the best you absolutely can do. And your loving, your presence, your very being is miraculous. So now look, you've had successes in your life, correct? You've listed some of your successes. You've had spiritual gifts that you've used to create those successes, and you've shared them in the world. The last column I'd like you to list is notice what those successes did, what your spiritual gifts affected, changed. What are the ripple effects? That you did something for someone else that was part of the success, and that affected someone else, and that shifted your family, and down the line, on and on and on. Every thing you have done, every time you have stepped up and stepped out in faith, in love, in peace, in compassion, you have changed someone's life, and you have changed someone else's life because you changed that person's life. Every step you take, every word you speak can be a ripple in the pond that changes everything for someone. And that is more than enough. It is truly miraculous, and truly the greatest love is your acknowledgement that that's the power you have on a daily, on a minute-by-minute basis. You and I, all of us, have the power to change the world for the better by the actions we take, the words we speak, and the love, the positive regard we hold in our hearts. Right? So, can we release the constantly negative voice that says they're not doing it right, they're wrong, they're bad, and create the space for unconditional positive regard for our fellow human beings and for ourselves? Because that's what we're doing, folks. When we hold someone else in contempt, we are the first recipients of that contempt, the primary recipients of that contempt. And as I demonstrated with a story about my dad, miracles do happen every day. And because I shifted. I mean, I have been wrestling with it, going, I love my father, right? And at the moment, I found myself not liking him. And until I doubled back and chose to unconditionally love, there wasn't the space in me to be able to hear those words, to take that phone call and know it. So what if we could unconditionally love ourselves and others? What is the world we would create? What is the peace that seems to elude us all? Is right here, as Misa's saying, as these quotes tell us, within me. There's nowhere else to look for it. There's not the right person who's going to bring it. There's no savior. There's no one else coming. Right? The second coming of the Christ, for those of you who are Christian-based, the second coming of the Christ is when we wake up, folks. When we realize who we are. When we realize that we are the Savior we've been seeking. And when we lift ourselves up to a place of love that is unconditional. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, are the words ascribed to Jesus when he was being nailed to the cross. You can come to my Bible class and find out if that really, he said it, but someone thought it and wrote it, regardless of whether Jesus said it or not. It is in the human consciousness that we can forgive the unforgivable, even in those moments. And when we do, we have found the greatest love of all. The love that is us. The love that cannot be trampled because it is not dependent on anyone else's behavior. You are a magnificent expression of the divine. We say it to the children. I'm saying it to you. You are a magnificent expression of the divine. That's right. There's a great underscoring, Summer, the bells can ring. Your love is a miracle that changes the world forever, every day. You have a list of it in front of you. So there's the proof that your love's a miracle.